read. I don't know how many chapters I got through without you guys, but quite a bit. I might have read 100 pages by myself, to be honest. I'm on page like 260 something. Bast is back. If I read her live, there's like Set's animals chasing them. I don't know if these are real characters in Egyptian myths and legends, religion. Not sure. So, but we're gonna go back into the Red Pyramid. We're about halfway there. I can't wait to finish it so we can continue the Mona in God's Eye, and then we'll read Salem's Lot, and then we'll read Michael Crichton's first published book. I don't know, The Great Train Robbery. I don't know what to read after that, but let's read this. Chapter 22. Leroy meets the Locker of Doom in Carter's perspective. I'd never gone through security with a live bird of prey before. I thought it would cause a holdup, but instead the guards moved us into a special line. They checked our paperwork. Bass smiled a lot, flirted with the guards, and told them they must be working now, and they waved us through. Bass's knives didn't set off the alarm, so maybe she'd stored them in the doo-wop. The guards didn't even try to put Sadie through the x-ray machine. I was retrieving my shoes when I heard a scream from the other side of security. Bass cursed in Egyptian. We were too slow. I looked back and saw the Set animal charging through the terminal, knocking passengers out of its way. Its weird rabbit ears swiveled back and forth. Foam dripped from its curved, toothy snout, and its forked tail lashed around, looking for something to sting. Moose! A lady screamed. Rabid moose! Everyone started screaming, running in different directions, and blocking the Set animal's path. Moose? I wondered. Bass shrugged. No telling what mortals would perceive. Now the idea was spread by power of suggestion. Sure enough, more passengers started yelling moose and running around as the Set animal plowed through the lines and got tangled up in the stanchions. TSA officers surged forward, but the Set animal tossed them aside like rag dolls. Come on, Bass told them. I can't just let it hurt these people. We can't stop it. But I didn't move. I wanted to believe Horace was giving me courage, or that maybe the past few days had finally woken up some dormant bravery gene I'd inherited from my parents. But the truth was scarier. This time, nobody was making me take a stand. I wanted to do it. People were in trouble because of us. I had to fix it. I felt the same kind of instinct I felt when Sadie needed my help, like it was time for me to step up. And yes, it terrified me, but it also felt right. Go to the gate, I told Bast. Take Sadie. I'll meet you there. What? Carter. Go! I imagined opening my invisible locker, 132333. I reached out my hand, but not for my dad's magic box. I concentrated on something I lost in Luxor. It had to be there. For a moment, I felt nothing. Then my hand closed around a hard leather grip, and I pulled my sword out of nowhere. Bast's eyes widened. Impressive. Get moving, I said. It's my turn to run interference. Get moving, I said. It's my turn to run interference. Oh! You realize it'll kill you. Fuck it. Let's kill Carter Kane right now. Let's kill him. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Now, scat. He acts too much like Percy Jackson. I feel threatened. Bass took off at top speed, Sadie flopping to stay balanced on her arm. A shot rang out. I turned and saw the Set animal plow into a cop who just fired at its head to no effect. The poor cop flew backward and toppled over the metal detector gate. Hey, Moose, I screamed. The Set animal locked its glowing eyes on me. Well done, Horace said. We will die with honor. Shut up, I thought. I glanced behind me to make sure Bass and Sadie were out of sight. Then I approached the creature. So you've got no name? I asked. They couldn't think of one ugly enough? That was kind of funny. The creature snarled, stepping over the unconscious policeman. Oh, poor policeman. Set animal is too hard to say, I decided it is. I'll call you Leroy. Apparently, Leroy didn't like his name. He lunged. I dodged his claws and managed to smack him in the snout with the flat of my blade, but that barely fazed him. Leroy backed up and charged again, slavering, baring his fangs. I slashed at his neck, but Leroy was too smart. He darted to the left and sank his teeth into my free arm. If it hadn't been for my makeshift leather arm guard, I would have been minus one arm. As it was, Leroy's fangs still bit clear through the leather. Red hot pain shot up my arm. Damn. I yelled, and a primal surge of power coursed through my body. I felt myself rising off the ground, and the golden aura of the hawk warrior forming around me. The set animal's jaws were pried open so fast that it yelped and let go of my arm. I stood, now encased in a magical barrier, twice my normal size, and kicked Leroy into the wall. Good, I said, Horace. Now dispatch the beast to the netherworld. Quiet, man. I'm doing all the work. I was vaguely aware of security guards trying to regroup, yelling into their walkie-talkies and calling for help. Travelers were still screaming and running around. I heard a little girl shout, "Chicken man, get the goose!" Or moose. You know how hard it felt to feel like an extreme falcon-headed combat machine when somebody calls you Chicken Man? I raised my sword, which was now at the center of a 10-foot-long energy blade. Leroy shook the dust off his cone-shaped ears and came at me again. My armored form might have been powerful, but it was also clumsy and slow. Moving it around felt like moving through jello. Leroy dodged my sword strike and landed on my chest, knocking me down. He was a lot heavier than he looked. His tail and claws raked against my armor. I caught his neck in my glowing fists and tried to keep his fangs away from my face, but everywhere he drooled. My magical shield hissed and steamed. I could feel my wounded arm going numb. Alarms blared. More passengers crowded toward the checkpoint to see what was happening. I had to end this soon before I passed out from pain or more mortals got hurt. Is Carter about to be the main character after 260 pages? I felt my strength fading, my shield flickering. Leroy's fangs were an inch from my face, and Horace was offering no words of encouragement. Then I thought about my invisible locker in the duat. I wondered if other things could be put in there too. Large, evil things. I closed my hands around Leroy's throat and wedged my knee against his rib cage. Then I managed an opening in the duat. In the air right above me, 13, 20, 32, 33. I imagined my locker opening as wide as it could go. With my last bit of strength, I pushed Leroy straight up. He flew toward the ceiling, his eyes widening with surprise as he passed through an unseen rift and disappeared. "Where'd it go?" someone yelled. "Hey, kid," another guy called. "You okay?" My energy shield was gone. I wanted to pass out, but I had to leave before the security guards came out of their shock and arrested me for moose fighting. I got to my feet and threw my sword at the ceiling. It disappeared into the duat. Then I wrapped my torn leather around my bleeding arm as best as I could and ran for the gates. I reached our flight just as they were closing the door. Apparently, word of the Chicken Man incident hadn't spread quite yet. The gate agent gestured back toward the checkpoint as she took my ticket. "What's all the noise up there?" A moose got through security, I said. "It's under control now." Before she could ask questions, I raced down the jetway. I collapsed into my seat across the aisle from Bast. Sadie, still in kite form, was pacing in the window seat next to me. Bast let out a huge sigh of relief. "Carter, you made it." "But you're hurt. What happened?" I told her. Bast's eyes widened. "You put the set animal in your locker? Do you know how much strength that requires?" "Yeah," I said. "I was there." The flight attendant started making her announcements. Apparently, the security incident hadn't affected our flight. The plane pushed back from the gate on time. I doubled forward in pain, and only then did Bass notice how bad my arm was. Her expression turned grim. "Hold still. Hold on." She whispered something in Egyptian, and my eyes began to feel heavy. "You'll need to sleep to heal that wound," she said. "But if Leroy comes back..." "Who?" "Nothing." Bass studied me as if seeing me for the first time. "That was extraordinarily brave, Carter." facing the set monster. You have more Tomcat in you than I realized. That's funny. Thanks. She smiled and touched my forehead. We'll be in the air soon, my Tomcat. Sleep. I couldn't really object. Exhaustion washed over me and I closed my eyes. Hey! Couldn't really object. Exhaustion washed over me and I closed my eyes. Hey! It's by an Egyptian god. She said, "Good job, my little Tomcat. Good job." Hello. Welcome. We're reading the Kane Chronicles by Rick Riordan. Yes, this is a Percy Jackson spin-off. I love Percy Jackson. Book 1 is the best. I don't care what anybody says. Book 1 is the best. Book 5 is anticlimactic as hell. Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. It's 10:30. I have to go soon. Naturally, my soul decided to take a trip. I was in Ba form, circling above Phoenix. It was a brilliant winter morning. The cool desert air felt good under my wings. The city looked different in the daylight. A vast grid of beige and green squares dotted with palm trees and swimming pools. Stark mountains rose up here and there like chunks of the moon. The most prominent mountain was right below me, a long ridge with two distinct peaks. What had Set's meaning called it on my first soul visit? Camelback Mountain. Its foothills were crowded with luxury homes, but the top was barren. Something caught my attention. A crevice between two large boulders and a shimmer of heat coming from deep within the mountain. Something that no human eye would have noticed. I folded my wings and dove toward the crevice. Hot air vented out with such force that I had to push my way through. About 50 feet down, the crevice opened up and I found myself in a place that simply couldn't exist. The entire inside of the mountain had been hollowed out. In the middle of the cavern, a giant pyramid was under construction. The air rang with the sound of pickaxes. Hordes of demons cut blood-red limestone into blocks and hauled it to the middle of the cave, where more swarms of demons used ropes and ramps to hoist the blocks into place. The way my dad said the Giza pyramids were built, but the Giza pyramids had taken like 20 years to complete. This pyramid was already halfway done. There was something odd about it too, and not just the blood-red color. When I looked at it, I felt a familiar tingle, as if the whole structure was humming with a tone. No, a voice I almost recognized. I spotted a smaller shape floating in the air above the pyramid, a reed barge like Uncle Amos's riverboat. On it stood two figures. One was a tall demon in leather armor. The other was a burly man in red combat fatigues. I circled closer, trying to stay in the shadows because I wasn't sure I was really invisible. I landed on the top of the mast. It was a tricky maneuver, but neither of the boat's occupants looked up. "How much longer?" asked the man in red. He had Set's voice, but he looked completely different than he had in my last vision. He was a slimy black thing and he wasn't on fire, except for the scary mixture of hatred and amusement burning in his eyes. He had a big thick body like a linebacker's with meaty hands and a brutish face. His short, bristly hair and trimmed goatee were as red as his combat fatigues. I'd never seen camouflage that color before. Maybe he was planning on hiding out in a volcano. Next to him, the demon bowed and scraped. It was the weird rooster-footed guy I'd seen before. He was at least 7 feet tall and scarecrow thin, with bird talons for feet. And unfortunately, this time I could see his face. It was almost too hideous to describe. You know those anatomy exhibits where they show dead bodies without skin? Imagine one of those faces alive, only with solid black eyes and fangs. Oh wow, that's scary. We're making excellent progress, Master, the demon promised. We conjured 100 more demons that day. Oh, today. With luck, we will be done at sunset on your birthday. This is unacceptable face of horror, Set said calmly. The servant flinched. I guess his name was Face of Horror. I wondered how long it had taken his mom to think of that. Bob? No, Sam? No. How about Face of Horror? But Master, Face stammered. I thought, do you think, demon? Our enemies are more resourceful than I imagined. They have temporarily disabled my favorite pet and are now speeding toward us. We must now finish before they arrive. Sunrise on my birthday, Face of Horror, no later. It will be the dawn of my new kingdom. I will scour all life from this continent. Score. And this pyramid shall stand as a monument to my power. The final and eternal tomb of Osiris. My heart almost stopped. I looked down at the pyramid again and I realized why it felt so familiar. It had an energy to it. My father's energy. I can't explain how, but I knew his sarcophagus lay hidden somewhere inside that pyramid. She smiled cruelly, as if he would... Set smiled cruelly, as if he would just be as happy to have Face obey him or to rip Face to pieces. You understand my order? Yes, Lord. Face of Horror shifted his bird feet as if building up the courage. But may I ask, Lord, why stop there? Set's nostrils flared. You are one sentence away from destruction, Face of Horror. Choose your next words carefully. The demon ran his black tongue across his teeth. Well, my lord, is the annihilation of only one god worthy of your glorious self? What if we could create even more chaos energy to feed your pyramids for all the time and make you the eternal lord of all worlds? A hungry light danced in Set's eyes. Lord of all worlds. That has a nice ring to it. And how would you accomplish this, puny demon? Oh, not I, my lord. I am an insignificant worm. But if we were to capture the others... Nephthys, Set kicked Face in the chest and the demon collapsed, wheezing. I told you to never speak her name. Yes, Master, Face panted. Sorry, Master. But if we were to capture her and the others, think on the power you could consume with the right plan. Set began nodding, warming to the idea. I think it's time we put Kane to use. I tensed. Was Amos here? Brilliant, Master. A brilliant plan. Yes, I'm glad I thought of it. Soon, Face of Horror, very soon, Horus, Isis, and my treacherous wife will bow at my feet, and Amos will help. We'll have a nice little family reunion. Set looked up, straight at me, as if he'd known I was there all along, and gave me that ripped-to-pieces smile. Isn't that right, boy? I wanted to spread my wings and fly. I had to get out of the cavern and warn Sadie, but my wings wouldn't work. I sat there paralyzed. Set reached out to grab me. No! Chapter 23. Professor Todd's final exam. I skimmed along to see if he was okay. And I know the answer. But I'm not going to tell you. Okay, I'll tell you. Sadie here. This is chapter 23. Professor Todd's final exam. Sadie's perspective. Sadie here. Sorry for the delay. Though, I don't suppose you'd notice on a recording. My nimble-fingered brother dropped the microphone into a pit full of... Oh, never mind. Back to the story. Carter woke with such a start. He banged his knees against the drinks tray, which was quite funny. Sleep well? I asked. He blinked at me in confusion. You're human. How kind of you to notice. So, I guess it's, he's okay. We're gonna end it. Have a good night. I see you guys another time.